Bloomberg Audio Studios.
Podcasts, radio, news.
Welcome to Merryn Talks Your Money, the personal finance edition of Merryn Talks Money. In these bonus podcasts, we talk about the best strategies for making the most of your money. I'm Merryn Somerset Webb, and with me, senior reporter and Money Distilled author John Stepek. Hi, John.
Hi, Merryn.
So this week, we're answering a question from Idris, who is 18. Idris asks,
I'm hoping to be going into the world of work, results day willing. And my question is whether you think maxing out my company pension match is enough for when it comes to saving for my pension.
it's not immediately as straightforward as it sounds for someone of Idris's age. So if you're 18, you're not automatically opted in. You're not automatically opted in until you're 22. Before that, however, if you earn over £6,240, you do have the right to opt yourself in. So obviously, it's a very good idea to do that as soon as you possibly can. The other thing to say is that it doesn't happen immediately, or it doesn't necessarily happen immediately. Your employer has the right to delay 3 months before they enrol you into a pension. Now, obviously, a good employer will enrol you immediately, and I hope Idris, that your employer does do exactly that. Also, hope you got your results, by the way. But this is an opportunity to talk not just about 18-year-olds, but about people in general going into the workplace and getting a pension. Is it enough to simply take that 8%, sit back and forget about the whole thing until you retire? John, is it?
First thing I'd like to say is that I'm quite impressed that as an 18-year-old, Idris is thinking about this.
18-year-olds are great.
Yeah. I mean, and it's, but the other thing is, I mean, constantly whenever we had new employees at Money Week or whatever, and also other managers here at Bloomberg have kind of mentioned this to me, that a lot of the time their kind of younger, newer staff will come to them and say, oh, do I really need to put money into this pension thing? And the things, so I think it's worth getting it clear in your head. You should definitely join your auto-enrollment pension, because if you don't, then you're literally leaving some of your pay for your employer to keep. It's that straightforward.
It's that straightforward.
And also, if your employer does offer matching, so that, you know, if you put in 5, they'll put in 5. If you put in 6, they'll put in 6. You should max that out as much as you can, because again, that is, for want of a better word, it's not free money. It's money you're not taking if you leave it on the table. So that, I think,
but
is
the objection
important
to that is, look, I'm young. I'm trying to pay rent. I've got a whole pile of expenses here. I'm paying 20% income tax. I'm paying 8% NI. I'm paying 9% on my student loan, although it sounds like Idris sometimes not going to university, so it's not going to have that, going straight into apprenticeship or something brilliant like that. But say you have got that, so you've got your 20%, your 8%, your 9%, and then another 5% on top of that. At some point, your 20-something is going to go, I can't do this. It's too much.
I get it, but honestly, from that point of view, I think, and it's 4% of your after tax income, because it's grossed up. So it's, you know, so you should try as hard as possible to be able to afford that, because unless you've got an insanely big credit card bill that's racking up a lot of interest, then I don't see any sensible reason to not be putting this money aside. If you can't live on what you're earning at the moment, then I'd suggest trying to find another job or adjust your spending habits or something. I know that sounds brutal, but I'm talking about 4% here. We aren't talking about, especially given that presumably your salary isn't that large if you're just starting out. It's just a good habit to get into. I mean, do you think that I'm being unfair there? No,
I don't. I mean, I think you're right. If you can do this, you must do this.
Aye.
And you must do everything that you can to make sure that you do this.
Yeah.
And the hope, of course, is that people are automatically enrolled. They don't know this has happened.
Well, yeah, exactly.
They never see the income, so they never miss it. My only fear here is just that it's already tough out there. It's already tough, and young people are paying a huge amount of their income away already. And this is just a burden on top. But nonetheless, you should do it. Yes, you should do it to the absolute extent that you can. You should do this. So here's the second part of the question. Is it enough just to do this? Now, an awful lot of people are going to tell you the answer to that is no, it's not enough. You've got to do more. You've got to put more in. But I come back to my original point, which is, hang on, it's tough out there already. And life, your financial life anyway, is about balancing your living standards now and balancing your living standards in the future, right? And so I think it's important not to encourage people to oversave in their 20s to the detriment of actually living, actually having fun, actually being able to afford the stuff that makes life nice. So I'm slightly against encouraging people to put more in. And I would also say that if, let's say, you start on a reasonably average salary and your salary goes up by inflation plus a bit every year, and I've done the numbers on this, written columns on this, so do go and look on Bloomberg and look for those columns. But you do end up with a couple of £100,000 if markets behave like they normally do, from which you can take an income. Add that to the state pension, which I really hope will still exist and not be means tested when Idrissa retires, although I cannot guarantee that. But if you have that and you have the state pension, you should have a reasonable base income to retire on. And I hope as you get older and earn more, you'll be able to save into ISAs and have different types of savings and hopefully be able to afford a house, etc. Which should mean that pension income is enough. Now, sure, as you get older and as you earn more and hopefully there's excess cash one day, put it into your pension, definitely. But I'm not sure that we should be encouraging people who are already on limited after-tax incomes to oversave at this point in their career. Is that wrong?
No, I agree with you. And I think that even if you have the excess income, if you like, then you should probably be looking to save that once you've, maxed out the pension element. Save that in an ISA. Because the other important thing is that at the age of 18 or your early 20s, you are so far away from the end goal and you've no idea what's going to happen over the next kind of 40 years.
Gee, it might be 60 at this
point. Or maybe, yeah. And hopefully, life expectancy and health spans will go up, so it's not all bad. But you really need the optionality the younger you are. I mean, for example, you might decide that you want to go and set up a business, which is something that you can feasibly take the risk of doing when you're that age. So you want to have your spare capital accessible. You don't want it locked up until you're 57 or 67 or whatever the age will be at that point to take out your pension.
What is it now?
At the moment, it's going up to 57.
But it's going up to 57.
Aye.
Yeah. The other key thing to say, I suppose, is, John, I think you and I both agree that everyone, before they do another type of saving, should have 6 months' worth of income in cash.
Oh, yeah, you should have an emergency
That's your freedom
fund.
money. That's your freedom money.
Yeah, yes.
So So yes, take the pension, then focus on building up 6 months' worth of income in cash, either inside a cash ISA or outside a cash ISA, depending on where you can get the best rates.
Yeah.
I remember you can get £1,000 worth of interest. Is it still £1,000 a year?
It's still £1,000.
I mean, things may change in October. There's a budget
taxpayers
coming up. A lot of the things we're talking about could change in October, but yeah, save that money first, then start putting stuff into an ISA and make sure you keep that pension contribution running alongside.
Yeah, aye. I mean, I think that's important because, I'd like to say, as you say, you have to live now. And the other thing is he's going to want to save up for a property at some point. And obviously you can't do that with a pension. The lifetime ISA is probably a good bet for that because he's young enough to get it. And you get a kind of decent top up. And presumably, the one thing that all governments seem to care about is making sure that first-time buyers overstretch themselves to get on the housing market. So I'm sure...
Can't say anything with that little criticism built in, can you, John?
No.
So listen, this is obviously not financial advice and everyone's circumstances are different. And so this is suggestions of what you might like to think about as opposed to advice specifically of what you should do. But we really appreciate that question. It's a very, very good one and something that we should all be thinking about. So thank you so much, Idris, for calling in and giving us your question. Thanks for listening to this week's Merryn Talks Money debrief. If you like our show, rate, review and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. Also be sure to follow me and John on X or Twitter at MerrynSW and John_Stepek. This episode was produced by Summer Sadi, production support and sound design by Moses Andam. Questions and comments on this show and all our shows are always welcome. Our show email is merrynmoney@bloomberg.net.